Hey there, it's AB. I'm Drunk on Liberty. This is DOL 2, Drunk on Liberty 2. You're either witnessing something that will last for a very long time or something that will peter out. Needless to say, you have to be drunk on Liberty. And so there's that. But we do have real stuff to talk about. This is DNN, Drunk News Network. This is the political side of things where we are actually politically atheist. I do not care about either of these parties. And if you do, I'm not sure we'll see eye to eye. I mean, there are positions on each side that I could see with. Decreasingly, more and more, one I see eye to eye with more than the other. I'm not going to identify which, but we got some topics to talk about. First, I'd like to mention my sponsor, Intox Detox. Take tonight for a better tomorrow. Take it, protect your liver. Don't get hungover when you're drunk on Liberty, which I am right now. Did I mention that? I think I did. Hey, last time I talked a lot about the Fed, okay? Short for the Federal Reserve. And I said we should end the Fed. I don't think we should end the Fed per se. That would be very jarring. That would be difficult for the economy to deal with. The Fed has given our economy a put, which means that it's supported our economy. And if we just pulled the rug out from underneath that, it could be very destructive. So instead, let's starve the Fed. Let's put them back on their original mandate, which even their original mandate is maybe a little bit shady. They're supposed to prevent bank runs, prevent crises, backstop the banks. Because banks, whether you know it or not, are all leveraged out their ass. So, like, 10 to 1 is like child's play. That's like old school. Now, they could be 100 to 1. They could be 1,000 to 1. With derivatives, they could have placed bets that are 1,000,000 to 1 on the assets that they have. Even into the quadrillions, nobody knows. What could go wrong? Used to be that there was Glass-Steagall. You could be an investment firm where you gamble in the markets, or you could be a deposit taker where you take deposits from your customers, you pay them a steady rate of interest, and you protect their money. That is the value of a bank. That is what they add. They give you the protection of your money. But when investment banks and deposit banks come together, don't you know, eventually they will gamble with your money, the depositor money, not the investor money. And now the rules are that you are a creditor to your bank. And guess who gets paid dead last? You do. Cheers to you. You're the biggest sucker who's invested in your bank. Everyone else gets paid before you do. This wine's a little old. It's on the edge. I'm okay with it. I'm liver strong. I got it. But starve the Fed. Take away their powers to control our monetary policy. They don't deserve them. They've never forecasted a single thing right, and they never will. They're always behind the curve. They never know what the fuck is going on. They're worthless. They're really, really smart, overpaid idiots because they've never gotten a single thing right. Weathermen forecast better than they do. Let's put things into perspective. And these are the people that we've tasked with printing US dollars, deciding what interest rates should be, which sets the price of everything, it's a disaster. Starve the Fed. Don't kill the Fed. Starve the Fed. And maybe eventually the starvation will lead to death. What does cheap interest rates lead to? Thank you for asking. Malinvestment. What does that mean? Money flows into the wrong things because if you can borrow money at zero interest, then what's the risk? Money flows into stupid things like Facebook or Pinterest. Companies can do IPOs that have no chance of ever having any revenue whatsoever. They produce nothing of value in society. The new model is they've been going for 10 years, so they're reliable, but they still have no revenue. And yet, IPO, $11 billion wealth, value. It's like .com all over again. This time it's different. It's never different. Malinvestment is money flowing into bonds, and whether they be corporate or sovereign, that would not be funded if interest rates were where they should be, which they can't be because they're being controlled. You cannot control prices in a free market economy and expect it to work. Controlling prices is socialism. You cannot set any price. How would you know? What's the price of this shirt or this hat or cheese or bread or eggs? How would you know? No, but they know. They're going to tell you. They're going to set that price for you. It's going to be perfect. It's going to make it right for you. It's wrong. Causes malinvestment. It starts at the top. When the Fed controls the monetary policy, sets interest rates, all of a sudden, we all know what the price of everything should be because they told us. Because they're smarter than the interactions of billions of people. Guys, this is kindergarten stuff. They don't know anything more than you or I know. And sadly, it's worse than that. They know less because they are not willing to accept reality. They only deal in theory. None of their theories have ever panned out. They've never worked out. But yet, they print our money and they are in control of all of it. Cheap money is the end of morality in any civilization. You might not believe me, but it's true. Follow me on this and we'll keep going. You want democracy? Do you really? Everyone keeps talking about democracy. Democracy is beautiful. I believe in democracy, but it needs to be checked. If it's not checked, it's a frickin' disaster. And by frickin', I mean fucking. It's a fucking disaster. Democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. I know you've heard that old hoary chestnut, but I give it to you again because despite the brains that I know that Americans have, they still don't get it. Pure democracy is not good for America. You could vote out the Bill of Rights in one day. There are people that would do that. It's not right. You don't need to focus on Second Amendment, First Amendment. You don't need to focus on anything. Just know that there are pure democrats, socialists, I might add, that would vote out the whole Bill of Rights in about 2 seconds. Where do you think that would leave you with your rights? Oh, you want to give rights to some people, but not to others, right? Does that sound democratic? No. It's all an agenda to win votes by promising shit that can never be delivered. That is socialism. And by the way, the end of pure democracy is socialism. That's why we have a republic. Because our forefathers were smarter and they made a republic to control democracy so that mob rule could not turn us all into rent-seeking animals who only destroy each other or step on each other's faces to get steak instead of chicken. But yet, that's a society we live in right now. You want to fix it? Pure democracy is not the way. Socialism is not the way. Benjamin Franklin said, What hath you wrought? What did you give us? What is our government? A republic, if you can keep it. The problem with a republic is you have to keep citizens that are educated. I think we're failing. But I think that's also the media. I think real Americans are a little smarter than they think we are. And we know. We don't want socialism. There's nothing for free. Think about it. Anything you get comes with a cost. What is the cost? Socialism promises you can have everything you ever wanted for free. You just have to pay your taxes. And you got to show up. That's not what America was built on. We weren't built on paying taxes and showing up. We were built on doing exceptional things. That doesn't make us exceptional forever. I'll remind you. We got to keep doing exceptional things. We got to keep leading the world and pushing the envelope. And all we're doing is just falling back into the same traps that so many before us have done before. Look, I love our country. I want to preserve it. But you guys need to think about this stuff. Get a little drunk on liberty, like the old founding fathers did. Think about it. They knew they would never allow pure democracy. It's like Peter Schiff said. I just heard him on a podcast today. I listen to him all the time. He's a smart dude. Pure democracy leads to complete chaos. We have a governing body, a republic, that keeps our democracy in check. We vote for elected officials that we respect and hope will vote the way that we want, but we're protected from complete mob rule. And it's genius. It's genius. Let it work. Just let it work. You want to vote out the Electoral College? That is democracy at its worst. You want to say that we should just allow for a system where all the white people want to destroy all the purple people? All the black people want to destroy all the brown people? Look, it's not even about race. It's about the philosophy behind it. Anybody can vote anybody else out if you get a big enough mob. That's not right. We're supposed to have equal rights. We shouldn't be able to vote out the rights of another party. We should all die for the right to have the right to keep our rights. And if you think otherwise, then you don't understand what America is, and you never will. It's about protecting liberty. If you have no liberty, you have nothing. So if you think socialism is a good idea, then get on the other side of me, and I will defend freedom with everything that freedom gets you for someone like you. Socialism, do your research, do your history, and figure out that it will never, ever produce what a free market can produce. Are there problems with capitalism? Yes, in fact there are. Let's talk about them. I've got it right on my list here. Capitalism is not perfect. It creates wealth inequality, not so much as any other system does, but it does. And the amount to which we need to regulate business is the minimum amount that we can. The government does nothing efficiently. We know this. The free sector does everything better and cheaper. So, under a socialist situation, we allow the government to control everything and set every price. Everything. They know everything. They know what wages should cost, what bacon should cost, milk, coffee, beer, everything. They know everything. In a free market, we say, hey, juice is worth the squeeze. I'll pay what it's worth to me right now. It's a brilliant system. The end goal of capitalism is to own everything and to dominate the market. There's potentially a problem there. That's a monopoly. So that's where we get to Paul Craig Roberts, smart guy. He says there are limits to capitalism. Look, I'm listening. I'm not so insensitive that I can't listen to a smart guy. He was active in politics. I believe Reagan administration, he knows his shit. He's not a lunatic. He believes in a lot of things that are I don't agree with necessarily, but he also agrees with me a lot. Like, if I saw this man, I would shake his hand. He's achieved more than I have in my life, and he's a good man. I don't care what political party he's affiliated with. He's probably like me. He probably doesn't agree with either of them. But, it's possible there are limits to capitalism, that we need a little bit of regulation. But where does that regulation come? Does it come when we're setting prices for everything? Or does it come when someone has accumulated so much power that they're abusing it? And the antitrust monopoly side of things. Look, it's sticky. No one's ever figured out capitalism perfectly either. But hey, Americans, we've come pretty damn close. We've done it the best that anyone else has done it. Actually, maybe that's not true because we gave it up and we're not doing it anymore. Other people are doing it pretty damn well. And we're just trying to get free shit by voting. And that is pure democracy. It's not American. And if you think it is, the word democracy is nowhere in the Constitution. Look it up. We are a democratic republic. We have the right to vote, but we also vote for elected officials. That is the way our government is formed. It's not perfect. We need to actually reevaluate campaign finance and the money side of that whole shit show. But at the end of the day, which would you rather? You vote for some puppet who you think is going to do your will and he doesn't, or you vote to kill all the people that aren't like you. Because pure democracy does that, and republic does the other. I think things should change slowly, because if it doesn't, there's a really serious jeopardy for our government to be unstable and people like you or I, whatever color or race or ethnicity you are, to be on the bubble. We can't do that. We can't do that. We have to get together. It's meant to be that way. And there's serious wisdom and ingenuity in our Constitution. And I really, really think that we should reevaluate where we are in comparison to what our Constitution says we should be. Last thing, because I'm always trying to check out under 30 minutes. Drunk on Liberty, as always. Man, I've been talking so much, I barely drank. I'm heated. Had a few before. I'm pretty sure you can tell. Lastly, QE4. Trump, who is the president, he is my president, because if you say he isn't, then that's treasonous. He was voted your president. So even if you don't like the man, I don't like the man, he's our president. So deal with it. Grow up. Don't be a fucking baby. QE4 he's calling for. Well, the economy's so great. It's so good. It's the best ever. Stock market's the best ever, that we need more monetary stimulus. I'm sorry, what? Look, you find out that your father is in the hospital. You're really concerned. You go to the hospital, and Donald Trump calls you up and says, your father's doing great. His health is the best it's ever been. And then you go to the hospital and they say, he's in a coma. And Donald Trump says, well, if we just juice him with a bunch of, just hit him a couple times with some electricity, he'll pop right back to life. And you're like, wait, I thought you just said he was in the best health ever, but yet he needs triage to bring him back to life, but he's in the best health ever. I must be missing something. That's what a sane person thinks. But CNBC or anywhere else you look, good news is bad news is good news. No, good news is good news, bad news is good news. That's how it goes these days. Because if they do QE, that's going to pump up the assets anyway. If they don't do QE, it's all good. The market, they got the put, they're covered. There's a floor underneath the market. They got them covered. QE4 is coming to the rescue. QE4 is code for printing money. They're just going to print more money. It's an invisible tax on you and me and everybody. They're just going to steal little pieces of our wealth from us, from your 401k, from every dollar that you have in your wallet. They're going to steal to pay for another boom to support the bubble that will ultimately crash. So, look, if you're looking at this situation and going, it's absurd, then you're not alone. To bring this whole thing together and hopefully make some sense of it, the Fed started this whole thing. We've had serial bubbles. We've had a dot-com bubble, a housing bubble, and now we have an everything bubble. All of this was perpetuated by the Fed. They don't solve problems anymore. They create problems. That's what they do. And they never know a recession is hit until it's too late. So I say, starve the Fed. I say, you starve the Fed, malinvestment won't happen anymore because there's no moral hazard. If you have skin in the game and you lose when you invest in the wrong thing, then you won't invest in the wrong thing because you'll be broke. That's frickin' capitalism. And if you want to blame capitalism like Ray Dalio, who, come on, you made money on capitalism and now you're going to blame capitalism for the problems? No, I don't buy that at all. It's more of the case that capitalism hasn't really been tried recently because we don't really use capitalism. Because we bail out banks, we bail out rich people, we bail out assets. Guess what? Poor people don't have assets. They don't get bailed out. They don't get shit. It's socialism for the rich, capitalism for the poor. If you applied it across the board, the whole thing would work a hell of a lot better. And if you really are an avowed socialist and you think that's going to work, I hope that you get every socialist thing that you desire, but not in my country, because this country is not a socialist country. And if you think that would make us better, I don't know what to think about you. You're either lying or you're stupid. It can't be both. But I hope you figure it out. I hope you're just not playing political games, promising people shit to get votes, which is what you're doing, actually. Capitalism works if you actually use it. Maybe someday we'll try it again. And QE4? You might as well call it QE Infinity, which we've all predicted for a long time is coming. They can never stop. Once you put a patient on morphine, you can never stop. He's dying. The patient is dying. How much more morphine is it going to take before the toes curl up, he flatlines, and it's over? Well, that's the game that they're playing with your lives. So, thank them for that. And buy some gold and silver, because it might be your only chance to survive. Besides that, Drunk on Liberty, AB, hey, stay you and stay free, and I love you. Goodbye.